Hi everyone, yasas que kalosirsate to another episode of Dimitra's Dishes. Today we're making a classic Greek soup. It's a lemony fish soup that's light, nourishing, refreshing, comes together in under an hour, and it's so good, especially if it's freezing cold like it's about to be here in Houston. We're having an ice storm this weekend, so I wanted to stock up my fridge with nourishing, comforting, cozy things. The soup is so easy to make. You're going to need fresh fish with the bone in so that way you get a nice rich broth. You can definitely add some more fillets in it later on if you want more meat in it. Let me show you how I make it. Okay, we're going to begin with the vegetables. So you're going to need 2 potatoes that are peeled and cubed. I'm using these golden potatoes and I'm putting a few extra because they are on the smaller side. And I'm just going to cut them into big chunks. Later on, if I want, I'll cut them a little bit smaller. I have a handful of baby carrots, or you can use 2 large carrots. You can peel them up and put them in there and chop them up later. And then 2 celery stalks. Everything is going to go in the pot. 10 to 15 black peppercorns. I just put a little spoonful of them in here. And then I have 2 red snappers because we need about 3 pounds of white fish. You can use red snapper, cod, monkfish. I feel like red snapper is really mild and the meat is really tender as well, and it's easy to find. I usually buy the pack from Costco and it's already scaled and cleaned. The intestines are removed. You want to make sure that that's taken care of beforehand. It goes in the pot with about 8 cups of water. You can go in with a little bit more to make sure that the fish is covered in water. A teaspoon of salt is going in here. And this is going to go on the stove top over medium heat until it comes to a boil. Once it comes to a boil, reduce the heat to a simmer and let this simmer for 20 or 25 minutes just until the fish is fully cooked and the vegetables are tender. You can carefully take the fish out. And I couldn't do this while I was recording today, but it is smarter to take the fish out rather than straining it. What I did was strain it, and then you lose a lot of the meat because everything kind of gets mushed together. If you take the fish out, you can remove the spine and all the bones much easier. So learn from my mistake and don't do that. And you can strain all of that broth back into the pot, but before you do that, wash the pot really well so that way it's nice and clean. You want to start off with a clean pot. The broth is going to go back in, and we're going to add half a cup of rice. I'm using arborio rice today because that's what I have, but you can use Carolina rice or even a long grain regular rice that you use to make pilaf and stuff like that. That's going to go in with half a teaspoon of salt. And we're going to cook the rice for about 15 minutes until it's fully cooked. In the meantime, you could remove the bones and skin from the fish and discard them. Cut the fish into chunks, or you can just carefully save chunks of it to the side in a big plate. Check the vegetables and remove any fish bones or skin from them. You can cut them a little bit smaller. I like to chop up the carrots, and I even like to cut the potatoes into smaller pieces. I don't add the celery back in or the onion. I leave that out. I didn't use a regular onion today. I used shallots because they were smaller. And then keep everything in a plate. Once the rice has cooked for 15 minutes, we're going to whisk together the avgolemono sauce. So the egg lemon sauce, we're using 2 egg yolks and then the juice of either 2 lemons or a quarter cup of fresh lemon juice. I like it very lemony, so adjust it to suit your taste. A tablespoon of cornstarch is also going in here. I like to add a little bit of dill and some olive oil, whisk that all together. And then I'm going to take some of the hot broth and temper the egg mixture, just so that way when the egg mixture goes into the pot, it becomes nice and creamy and doesn't turn into scrambled eggs. So we'll add the avgolemono sauce into the pot with the fish and potatoes and the vegetables. And this is going to warm through over medium heat for about 5 minutes or so. Don't let this boil. You just want this to simmer really nice and slow. The stock is going to thicken and the soup is going to be luscious and creamy and so velvety and delicious. You can give it a taste at this point and adjust the seasoning if you'd like. If the stock is looking like it's evaporated a lot, you can go in with some chicken broth just to thin it out a little bit to get it to the consistency that you like, and so that way it's not too thick. Once the soup is nice and thick like this, you don't have to keep it thick. You can keep it a little bit thinner. I know some people make it a little bit brothier and thinner. It's ready to serve. And there you have it. The Psarosoupa is ready. If you love avgolemono soup, the lemony chicken orzo soup, you're going to love this one because instead of the chicken, There's fish in it, and it's so much lighter. It's very bright. I like mine extra lemony. I also like to squeeze a little more lemon in my bowl just to make it more fresh and more zesty and vibrant. Time for the taste test. I want to make sure I get some potato in here. That is perfect. The rice melts in there almost, thickens the soup a little bit more, gives it that luscious, creamy texture. And again, it's hearty because it's in there. You can swap out the rice for some orzo if you want it a little bit silkier. You can definitely add more broth to it if you like it more brothy. Keep in mind, as it sits, it is going to thicken even more, and it also depends on what rice you're using. Arborio rice, which is the rice that's used to make risotto, does tend to thicken. It's starchier and it thickens your soup a little bit more. You can play with rice and different things so that way you adjust it to make it exactly the way you like it. If you love traditional Greek recipes like this one, make sure to subscribe. And if you want to print out this full recipe and get all the step-by-step instructions, they're on the blog, dimitrasdishes.com. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I'll see you all next time. Yes, us.